on air. Can you say something for me, Stormy?
Yes. Hello.
Hey, there we
Is
go.
that better? Okay. Good.
My unfortunately my volume is as high as it can go, Charlie Golf. But let's I might just take. I think that should be okay. But anyway, let's start that again, shall we? After more tech issues, because I feel this is going to be tech issues to stream today. But welcome everybody. Thank you for tuning in and bearing with me as we sort out the resetting computer problems and programs just not wanting to be closed. Bloody Razer, what are you doing to me? I don't even have a Razer product anymore. I just what I need to do is just do a full
Doing there then.
What? Oh, because I used to have a Razer headset, and now yeah. I'm not sure what's going on. I don't know why I'm so quiet. Hang on. Let me play with some more settings. Hang on. Let's see if we can sort this out. Where's my mic? Here's my mic.
Is my volume okay? I'm not too loud then, am I?
I think yours is okay, but it's mine that's a little bit average. Why?
Mine's fine. Well, while Jim does that, hello everyone. Hi Gamma. Hi Charlie Golf. Hi Doormat. Hello. Who else have we got here? Star Saber. Hello. How you doing? How's everyone been? How's everyone's week been so far? I apologize in advance. I'm looking and feeling quite under the weather this week, along with a few other bits and pieces, but I couldn't help it. Weekly show day. I've admittedly been very, very busy, so it has been a little while since I've been on the show. But I couldn't pass it up now that I was available for tonight. I miss being on the show and in the studio, but yeah, just because I'm under the weather, that's why we're going online. So I do take partial responsibility for the technical issues here. So that Tears of the Jedi game. Yeah, what's everyone playing at the moment?
Tears of the Jedi. Oh, Charlie Golf.
Jedi?
Yeah.
Oh, you goose. What have we been playing? Actually, let me talk about something I installed but I haven't played yet. Did anyone else download the beta for the new Niantic Marvel game?
Wait, there's a Niantic Marvel game?
Yeah, so I installed it today, but I haven't actually booted it up. It's called Marvel World, and it's like Pokemon, but it's for Marvel.
Yes, Doormat, sorry, Stormy did just go down. I've turned her down to hopefully get the balance right between her and me. So I don't know let us know how the balance is. I can't hear myself other than in my own head because I talk to myself all the time. I get good answers that way. I get the answers I want anyway. I'm good, Jim. Awesome. Stormy is near me.
I'm near muted.
Okay, well let's try about there, I think.
Hopefully that's better.
Yeah.
Gamma's playing Last of Us Part 1 on PC. Okay, we're perfect now. Amazing.
I know, but how's the sound? Yeah. Sorry, that was a bad joke. Bad joke right there. So anyway, let's get some show on the road. A lot of tech. I'm not used to streaming from my own setup. It's been a while. I'm going to say that.
It's actually been a while since we've done this. So.
Yeah. But thank you everybody for tuning in and bearing with us as we got everything set up. Thank you to all our Patreons who are just amazing people, and thank you to Kaiju Kai for subbing 26 months. Kai, well done. Thank you so much.
Kai.
Oh, legend.
I'm here. Yeah. No, you've come at the right time. This is probably the perfect time to come in. We're just going to disregard the last 5 minutes.
That's it. The last 5 minutes didn't happen. This is the real show right here, right now. But yes, as I was saying, welcome to all our Patreons as well. If you are looking to join our Patreon, if you type !support in chat, you will get a link to our Patreon there, where we do lots of wonderful things. Normally, we have a screen up showing all of our lovely Patreons, but unfortunately I didn't quite get enough time to get ready to put that up. And I'm just realizing
I was going to say I take partial responsibility for this online that we're in. That's not a word, but we're gonna go with it. Only because I've been feeling quite under the weather, so I wasn't able to make it to the studio today. So I will take part of the weirdness of today's episode.
That's so good. We like weirdness. It's very, very different. But yes, and as well with our Patreons, I will get through this Patreon spiel eventually. It will end. But as well, don't forget as well, we've got our monthly prize draw, which we drew the Lego last week, Stormy. Simicat won all the Lego.
Nice.
Amazing.
Very good.
But also, we have the new prizes. We're giving away 2 prizes. So 2 people are going to walk away with a box of magic cards with 30 booster packs of magic cards. It's going to be amazing. So if you would like to get in on that, join our Patreon and join all those absolute legends. You also get a special area in our Discord with our Twitch subscribers as well. They are also in the special area in the Discord where you can talk to us and have a chat. And of course, if you sign up for the level 3 Patreon experience, you also get an exclusive merch drop, which is getting very, very close to coming out. So all our level 3 Patreons, keep an ear out for that. So I think I finally got through it. I got through the spiel. It's going to be a good show. We got a few things to talk about. So let's kick it off. One thing that you pointed me towards the other day, yesterday, I don't know, days are blurring into one. But the European Commission has approved Xbox's acquisition of Activision-Blizzard, which is a little bit huge considering only last week CME, which is I forget what it stands for, Competition and Markets something or other in the UK, basically said no, we don't like it. So apparently Britain doesn't like it, but the rest of the EU does like it. So that seems a bit weird to me.
Yeah, well, I sent it to you pretty much because, like, trying to read about any of the Activision Blizzard stuff sometimes in general could be a bit of a heavy read. It's pretty full on. But yeah, what do you make of this, and what do you think the future holds for Activision Blizzard now, Jim?
So after reading a little bit, everything seems to hinge on the cloud gaming stuff, which I was a little bit surprised to read about. And because it's an emerging market, and CME has decided that Microsoft's acquisition of Activision Blizzard will impact that emerging market, and so that's what the CME is concerned about. But as part of this, Microsoft was told by the CME, here's our concerns, address them. And so Microsoft has come up with a plan. And interestingly enough, the whole thing about COD seems to have disappeared. So the COD was the big issue for Sony to say, look, Microsoft would gain an unfair advantage over us, which Microsoft seems to have addressed in this, and the CME were happy with. But it's this cloud gaming stuff, and I don't really see why. Like, it's the cloud gaming is an interesting thing, and I admittedly don't know how big it is overseas because Australian internet
is rubbish.
Yeah, it's,
to put it lightly.
Yeah, and like it kind of works all right if you've got a decent internet connection, but if you don't have that, then it's no good.
What's the point?
Yeah, not as bad as, not Stadia bad, but still pretty bad. But yeah, it's just interesting that Microsoft's restitutions, I guess, the arrangements they've made to try and mitigate the competition advantage that they'll have. Because let's not beat around the bush here. It's a big acquisition, and it will give Microsoft a lot of stuff. But you know what? It still won't make them as big as Sony.
I was thinking about it. We've been talking about this for, I want to say, a year or over a year now. I feel like as like since I've joined the show, this has been a talking point, and we've been watching kind of develop over time.
Yeah.
And I reckon it is still something that will take a bit longer. I'd like, even though things are happening, I reckon there will still be a bit of time before we get any, I don't know, bigger news,
Hmm.
perhaps?
Well, I think the CMA. I don't know where I'm getting CME from, but Competition and Markets Authority. Um, I think that they are going to be overridden by UK Parliament, because I don't know if you've seen, there's some video. It's a 10-minute video, so it's a bit of a long watch, but it's basically a, UK Parliamentary Committee grilling the head of the CMA about their decision to do this, and they don't sound happy. Like they're sitting there asking some very pointed questions about why this was happening, and that she's not doing well. Like, she is floundering and avoiding questions big time. So it's I think that this will be the way that it gets overturned, and I think I'm for this merger. I want this merger to go through, because I think that Microsoft will have a good influence on Activision-Blizzard. I think it'll stop some crap happening at Blizzard, which we'll talk about a bit later, and might actually make things a little bit better for the company and the people within the company. So I think it will be a good influence on stuff. So I would expect this to go through. But that said, like, the FTC in the United States is suing to block the acquisition as well, although that court case isn't happening till November, which seems like a very, very long time for that to happen. I would have thought maybe 6 months, but that's closer to a year that since they announced that they were going to sue to stop it.
Oh, well, the saga continues.
It really does. It's, my God, this is like long, protracted, and drawn out, and I really can't see why the cloud gaming is such an issue. Like, it's like, and we're not. And here's the thing: we're not talking Game Pass here. That's not what we're talking about here, because that's a subscription service. We're talking about cloud gaming, where you play a game that is being played on somebody else's computer. You know, that's the essence of it. And Microsoft has, this is outside of Xbox, and going to get a little bit techie here, but Microsoft has their Azure data centers that are huge. Like, they're in the business world, so many people use Azure to do so much stuff, and the cloud gaming platform is backed by Azure. And even Amazon has AWS, Amazon Web Services, that they can use for cloud stuff as well. So there's a lot of that stuff out there. I'm sure Google has their own as well. I'm just not sure what it is off the top of my head. So look, there are companies out there that are doing stuff like this, and I don't understand why the cloud gaming stuff is such a big deal to the CMA. But yeah, I guess we'll find out, and it's not looking super good when probably the two biggest countries are looking to block it. But like, the FTC thing is still a long way off, and Microsoft can afford some pretty damn good lawyers to work out what's going on there. And like I said, from what was going on with the parliamentary committee grilling of the head of the CMA, I think that there's a good possibility that might be overturned there. So might be sucking on the copium a little bit, but we'll see how that goes there. It's Charlie Golf saying it's purely a money in the pocket issue from the lobbyists. I wouldn't be surprised at that. Like, Sony has some pretty deep pockets, and they don't want this happening, which is ironic considering of all the studios that Sony's bought up. Yeah, but anyway, let's have a chat about something that you're a little bit angry about now, Stormie. So news broke today that Overwatch 2's PvP hero mode is being scrapped. So
yes.
You want to let us know why why you're so angry about this?
Well, it feels like a million years ago now, but hold on, before I even get to what Overwatch said they were going to do, When I was an avid Overwatch player, for me, one of my favorite parts was playing their PvE modes. Because I think what was also great about that was that you got a little bit more insight into like the lore and the characters. Like there's one that I will always remember on, I think it was on the King's Row map, and it was like the beginning days of Overwatch. It was a very young Overwatch team there. And I think what made Overwatch really good and such a pull, like for some people to play it at the time, is they had these amazing characters and they had all this amazing like animation and lore and stuff behind it. So when Overwatch announced, I don't know how many years ago now, I'll be testing my memory.
It was, I think it
Maybe
was
2019.
Yeah, BlizzCon 2019. Yeah.
Yeah, 2019, they said they were basically going to have like a PvE mode that will have like story and hero missions. And there was going to be like a hero tree and stuff. It was going to be like this whole big thing. And I was like, oh my God, I was like, more of what I enjoyed before. This is going to be great. And obviously, so many other people said the same thing. And now they've said what was announced this morning, they've just scrapped it completely. And that was about, what, 4 years ago?
Mm.
So obviously a lot of disappointed fans out there. I mean, I'm just one person. So obviously this is just my opinion.
Look,
But I felt
you're not the only one. I've seen lots of people on Twitter saying, I was keeping Overwatch 2 installed for this. I'm uninstalling now.
I was one of those people. Because in the last 4 years, I guess, we've only really had well, I mean, in the last 4 years, sorry, for me, I just haven't had that same draw in. And I think I was waiting for that for Overwatch 2, because I was like, okay, well, this makes sense why you're calling it Overwatch 2 now, is because you're adding this entirely new aspect to the game. It's going to make it feel different, because otherwise, to me, and I'm sure a lot of other people might feel the same way, but Overwatch 2 is just Overwatch 1 with the 2 slapped on the front and a battle pass and no loot boxes. And like, yeah, they've added some new characters and they've added some new maps and whatnot, but that was the biggest draw card, was um getting to do the PvE stuff. And now they've taken that away. And I'm just like, well, I kind of don't have any motivation to go back and play it now. It's disappointing. Like I'm so bummed, because I feel like that's what made the game so good. And this is, obviously um I, Overwatch was before, and this is a really random example, but it makes sense to me. It was like before Apex and stuff, like, to have like this multiplayer, like first person shooter or team first person shooter that had so much cool story and lore and stuff underneath it. Heaps, like dozens and dozens of interesting characters. And now they're just like, no, we're not really going to focus on that anymore. We're just going to kind of like, I think they mentioned, and I could be wrong, I think they said they'll still have like PvE events like every so often, but that whole concept and idea of the PvE mode, like dedicated mode, gone.
Yeah.
And it's just disappointing, because that's what so many people were looking forward to. So I saw, like, I'm still on this Overwatch 2 Facebook like group, like forum thing. And I don't know why I'm still there, because I don't engage with it anymore. But man, the amount of people on there that were voicing their like frustration about this being totally erased now. I think it's gonna be interesting to see what the popularity and reception of the game is like, because that's why so many people stayed. And I think I read here in a quote from, because they announced it on a live stream, is that like, but I think it's more annoying hearing that the team. So what was said by which one of them was it? I don't. It was either the game director Aaron Keller. It was either the exec producer Jared Neas. They basically said the team has created a bunch of new amazing created a bunch of amazing content. There's awesome missions, really exciting, brand new enemies, cool hero talents, but we're not gonna give that Blizzard quality experience, is what they said. So I feel like that's almost like digging the knife deeper into the wound, being like, oh yeah, we had this, like this was almost gonna be a thing, but we're just gonna like revert back to our multiplayer stuff now, which I feel like is adding nothing. And I realize I've got on a bit of a tangent, but I'm just so like frustrated because this was a game that I like Overwatch 2 I was very positive about, and I feel like had so much potential to be something more than just a Overwatch 1.2, you know?
Mm.
And now we don't have that. So at the moment, there's no real draw for me to go back to the game. I mean, unless you're playing competitively, you play like I'll go play the game with my sister whenever she wants to. Quick play, maybe a bit of competitive, but I'm just so not into it as much as I was before. So I'm interested to see where Blizzard is going to go based on the reception of this, or whether they're going to stick to their guns. Because I think what they've done is going to be a huge detriment to the future of the game.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that players feel like they've had the rug pulled out from underneath them, because this was a big thing for Overwatch 2. This is what was going to differentiate it from Overwatch 1, and now you're right, it's just Overwatch 1.2 with a shitty battle pass system and loot boxes that don't like you virtually have to spend money to get the loot boxes rather than being able to get it through a battle pass. Yeah.
It's hard because like I don't think, apart from maybe the one skin that they did to support breast cancer, it was like a mercy skin, right? That was probably maybe one of the only times I spent real money on the game, like in the original game when it came out. And I just have no motivation to get battle pass. Like I don't like really care for the characters enough to be like, okay, I want to boost myself up a few levels to try and, because that's what you got to do now. For those who have been out of the loop for it, you don't just get the characters anymore. You have to grind for them in the battle pass and earn them. And that's like like yeah, I don't know. It just seems like very money hungry, of course, like with the whole loot box situation. And I obviously haven't been on the show for a little bit, but like even talking about the way loot boxes are going to be classified and stuff here in Australia coming up, like the new, what are they calling it, EAFC, like the new FIFA and stuff like that. And they're tighter restrictions in a way that things like loot boxes and those mechanics are going to be talked about. They're like, okay, we got rid of loot boxes, but like even seeing like old skins from the original game, still, people who weren't on the bandwagon then, like they're expecting people to pay for them and stuff now or grind for them. It's just not worth it to me. And I'm so disappointed. So disappointed. Because even I know this is not the first time we talked about Overwatch. Like how much I love the game and loved everything it stood for. And now it's just become this like kind of empty shell of a game now. But yeah, interested to see what other people think of it, because even Doormat was like, wait, wasn't the whole PvE like lore story aspect supposed to be the main draw for Overwatch 2? And I was like, yeah, it was. And that's what it was exciting. So yeah, bummed, absolutely disappointed.
It's interesting you talk about the character development in the games, because I feel that was a big draw card for Overwatch. I didn't really play Overwatch. In fact, I maybe played one or two games in my life, and same with Overwatch 2. I think I played a night on a Goa Games night one time, and that was it. But doing reading today, I discovered something I didn't know, and that's Overwatch came about because Blizzard were making a new MMO called Titan, and that ended up falling flat, and it didn't really get too far. But they took a lot of the characters from that and made Overwatch. So that kind of feels to me like the reason that there was so much character in the characters was because they'd been written for an MMO. And so they already had all that backstory and stuff like that. Whereas I think now the well of that information has dried, and now they're going, we don't really want to do this anymore. We don't want PvE really. We want our loot boxes and grind and whatnot, and like
they're just moving away from what made it so like endearing. Like I will never forget like seeing the first cinematic they put out for the game and going, oh my god, like this actually has so much heart to it. There's and we've talked about this with the drama a while back. It would have been one of the first times we did the show together, where they were talking about some random character generator. Do you remember that? And because they wanted to try and increase diversity, they put it through a machine. Do you remember that?
I vaguely remember that. Yeah, it's just like forced diversity isn't really diversity.
Yeah, and then like that ticked me off because like that was one of the draw cards for me with Overwatch. It's just having this diverse cast of characters. Yeah, and they created like a generator of some scale, and it's like, God, use your brains and like think and like create characters genuinely rather than be like, oh yeah, let's see what the wheel's gonna spin on today. Like it was just like, that already peeved me, and I was like, whatever, moved on from it.
It reminds me of like there was a South Park episode that took the piss out of Family Guy and all their cutaway gags, and in the end, what it was there was this giant whale in a big fish tank somewhere, and it was just picking out random ball ideas and like mad-libbing them together. Yeah, that kind of sounds like the diversity wheel. Let's just spin it, see what comes up.
Just like that whole situation in itself could have been an instance where it's like, why are you proudly telling people about this? Like, you could have just kept your mouth shut. You could have if you wanted to use the generator, like whatever, be like that. But like trying to be like, oh yeah, we're gonna do it this way. No, use your own brains, be authentic, be genuine, and actually put care into these characters. But anyway, that was just one part of it, and I've obviously moved on from that now.
Obviously,
obviously. But yeah, now this whole PvE aspect, again, going back to the lore, going back to the characters, like that's what drew so many people in, and now they're getting rid of it. I just feel like it's such a massive mistake. And I feel like the occasional PvE events that they might put in, that's not enough to convince me anymore. So yeah, that's it.
Bye, Overwatch 2.
That's how I feel about it.
It's been fun knowing you. See you later.
Yeah. They're gonna have to if they do backtrack and they're like, oh, actually, we will put it in. Yeah, go on. I'll try it, but I'm a bit grumpy now. So thanks, Blizzard.
No. And it's just such a shame because there's such a cinematic environment that it just lends itself to PvE storytelling as well, and just like it's a shame to see it, and especially when we've got other video games that are sort of moving into more traditional media, like we've had The Last of Us recently, the Mario movie, which is I enjoyed immensely.
Me too.
There were some things I had issues with, but on the whole, I enjoyed it a lot. But today, another video game movie trailer has dropped, and let's have a look at it. I'm gonna keep my other mouse on standby.
Have you seen it already?
I haven't. I have not. But let's have a quick.
I'll shut up then.
Let's have a quick look.
Doormat's very excited.
I like the old school look of it because I don't know much about Five Nights at Freddy's, but I do. I do know it's in like an old sort of pizza joint.
Yep.
Yeah.
Man, what's the last thing that Josh Hutcherson has been in?
Probably hasn't needed to be anything since Hunger Games. You just living off that.
Since he was a kid.
Yeah.
Since he was so little.
Just living off that Hunger Games money.
Oh man, it's the glowing eyes for me.
Yeah.
Can't do it.
Hiding in the ball pit, like. Oh my god, yeah, the glowing eyes. That's freaky, man.
Oh man, I'm
October 27th. That's not.
That's really soon.
Yeah, like I didn't know I didn't even know it was coming as a movie, but
yeah, they announced it last year, and it's being made by Blumhouse Productions, which is the same people who did like all like the really well-known horror stuff, you know, like Insidious, Get Out, the recent Halloweens.
I like that. I like that. They know what they're about, and they've gone to the right studio to do it.
I believe, and Doormat might fact check me here, the guy behind the game, I think is a co-writer or a co-producer, or perhaps both, which is really cool. And there's so many cool things in that trailer. As a very casual fan, like I never, I tried to play it on stream once for charity, and it physically makes me sick. Like I don't know what it is. I can play Resident Evil, but I can't play Five Nights at Freddy's, which sounds really stupid, but I think there's just something about animatronics jumping at you. I can't do it. Maybe I'll have to try it again, but
I
look.
was just having a bit of a look at information because I'm sitting here going, pretty sure this is an indie game. And it does look like it was kind of originally created by one person. But then I've looked down at the Wikipedia article and it's like got VR versions as well. And all I can think of, Jesus Christ, that is going to scare the shit out of me
I can't even play it normally. Like, I'd happily play the beginning or the very small amount of Resident Evil 7 that I played once in VR than play Five Nights at Freddy's in VR. But yeah, it's so cool because there's like very cool little nods to like obviously particularly the first game. Even the look and style of the characters themselves. I think the characters, like the puppeteering, I think is rumored to be done by Jim Henson's company.
If you're gonna go to someone, you may as well go to the best.
And I think it's funny because I know some people or some fans are torn because it doesn't look realistic, but then I think the charm of it, and I think this is what we learned from some of the most recent video game adaptations that have been true to their game, is that like I don't care if the animatronics don't look realistic. Like I think it looks great. I love that it's the animatronics are looking just like they did in the game. Even like the shots of the security cameras and like the way that Bonnie, Freddy, and I think Chica, it's been a while since I've played. The way that they're all placed at the beginning on the security cameras, like it is at the beginning of the game. That's really cool. There's like a shadow of Foxy that you see for like half a second. Even the little tune and stuff at the end, which is like if you've played the game and you hear that tune, you know it's game over. Like you're done for. I even though I can't physically bring myself to play the game, it would take a lot of convincing to do it. I am really looking forward to this movie. I don't care how corny or how cheesy it is. I love that Matthew Lillard is in it as well. I think he's playing the baddie. I obviously love him in Scooby-Doo and just love him just as much in Scream. I think he could play both sides of the coin like really well. And even though he's in the trailer for like 5 seconds, like that's good enough for me. I'm so excited.
Yeah, it looks good. Like I'm not gonna lie, I'm not a big horror movie fan. In fact, probably I've watched like the first Saw you probably more call a thriller than a horror movie. But this looks really good. Like just from the trailer, it looks good, and I feel like Five Nights at Freddy lends itself to a movie fairly well. Like there's some games that you play that you go, oh, it's got a great story, but it would be better suited to a TV show than a movie.
Nah, this is a movie.
Yeah, and this, and that's what I feel like. This feels like it's perfect fodder to be turned into a movie.
And like this obviously has potential to be a whole movie franchise. Like let's not beat around the bush here. We know that's just how it is.
Yeah.
But I reckon, because there's various games and like I guess depending on what characters they bring out or it's got to. I reckon like I'm agreeing with Doormat here because actually Doormat was one of the first people to message me when I shared the trailer. And I actually haven't had the chance to message him like about it properly. But yeah, I reckon this could be a huge movie franchise. And it'll be interesting what they'll push the ratings to be like, because there's that one shot of Josh Hutcherson in that chair, like strapped in that chair with the blades and stuff. So, and Five Nights does have a young crowd as well. So I'm interested to see where the movie sits in terms of potentially crossing the line or whether it's just going to tread that fine line between, like your 12-year-old could watch it or like this will scar them for life kind of thing.
Who would let a 12-year-old play Five Nights at Freddy's? Like that's
Well, look, you know what's funny? Like it's not even about young kids playing the game. It's also like for me, and I'm sure for a lot of other people as well, maybe who grew up maybe watching more people play games than it was actually playing the games themselves. Like I watched like Markiplier, Jacksepticeye, big creators now. Those were when those games started coming out. That was huge. That was huge, and you absolutely loved watching them suffer through these games. And I think that is what also got the younger audience as well. Like, even if they weren't actually able to play the game, they were able to watch so many other people experience it, and that can be obviously just as enjoyable. So, I think it's going to have an interesting audience base. But yeah, interesting to see where that line is, depending on what the rating is, of course. Like, I reckon if they do like a what movie did I see recently that I was surprised was rated M? Megan, talking about
Yeah,
animatronics and dolls and stuff. Megan was only M, and I
because
honestly left the cinema thinking,
that looks scary
yeah,
as shit.
yeah. Actually, I did okay with that. But that I was thinking, I left it and I was like, I didn't even think about what the rating was, and I think it was only M. I could be wrong, but if they kind of tread that line, I feel like with what they did with Megan, without hitting it into the MA15 rating, I think it could be really, really good. I don't want it to be too. From the teaser trailer, it doesn't look like it's going to be, but I don't want it to be not that scary. Like, I don't want there to be cheap jump scares. I want there to be proper jump scares. I'm asking for the things that I hate from the game the most, but I feel like that's the only way it's going to work.
Yeah. I'm quickly Googling because I want to try and see what rating it is. And I'm not really finding anything definitive, but
Yeah.
PG-13 seems to be bandied around a lot, which kind of seems a pretty low rating.
I think PG-13, because that's like an American rating, right?
Yeah.
I think that's what Megan was given as well. So if it's around like that kind of line, I think it could be really, really cool. I'd love to see how far they're going to push it.
Yeah. It'll be very interesting. It does make me think, like, I keep on wanting to talk about like what other video games could be made into a movie.
Well, I would have said Overwatch, and now I'm just cranky about the whole situation. I'm sorry, I'm going back to Overwatch again, but you started it.
I all I asked was what video game you thought could be made into a movie. You're the one that brought up
Overwatch could be a great movie. I think Overwatch could be a great movie. It could be a great TV series for all I care. But probably no, I was going to say something really mean, but I'm not going to. I feel like I've been mean to Blizzard enough. But, if they cared enough, I reckon they could make a good movie. Anyway, that's it.
I know there's been whispers after the success of the Mario movie of a Legend of Zelda movie. And I hate the idea that they would give that to Illumination. Because I think Illumination worked well with Mario, but I don't think it would work well with Zelda. Like, and here's the thing, like, you would have to find some way to make Link not talk very much. Like, because I don't think I could handle him having a lot of speaking lines in a movie or even a TV show. You know what I want?
Yeah, how would they do that? Just imagine the actual outcry if they actually gave him a voice.
Yeah. What I want season 1 of Mandalorian, but Zelda. Because I reckon that'd work. Because, like, him not talking much, but just, like, taking... Yeah, I'm not talking about the story in The Mandalorian. I'm talking about the vibe where all the story was told through actions rather than dialogue.
Yeah, okay, I see what you're saying. I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Also, hello to Drain Bamage. Says, wow, Barjo and Hex got better with age. I wish we looked that good.
I know. Same. No, love Barjo and Hex. But welcome on in. Welcome to the stream. We kind of roasted. Well, I say we. It was me. We did just kind of get into the whole Overwatch 2 PvE. What's the word I'm looking for?
Ditching.
I can't even call it disaster because it didn't even happen.
Well, but it did happen
from existence.
Yeah, it did happen because it was there in development, and like I know we're getting back onto Overwatch again. Now I'm doing it, but like you kind of look back on it. Was it Jeff Kaplan? Somebody Kaplan that ended up
old Jeff.
that
Jeff
leaving.
Kaplan.
Yeah, he ended up leaving Blizzard, and now you're kind of sitting there and wondering that if he left because he could see this happening, and he goes, I don't want any part of that anymore. Yeah.
That was my favorite part of Overwatch 2 was Jeff's Overwatch updates. It always start with, "Hey, this is Jeff from the Overwatch team," and it was just like, "Oh yeah, you're in for a good update," and you'd get excited for updates. No one's gonna be excited for updates anymore.
It's like whenever there's a Nintendo Direct and Aonuma just appears, and it's just like,
and you're like,
yeah, oh, this is exciting. I want to see it. Yeah.
Dorvat says the Jedi Survivor game would make a good movie. Have you started the game yet? The last time we spoke, you said you hadn't started.
No, I've started it, but because like I got back from DreamHack, had COVID, so I couldn't really do much. But on the last couple of days of when I was staying at home, I got Mum and Dad to go and pick up my copy of it, and I found it quite difficult to get into. Like I don't know what it was. Like I had it set on the second highest difficulty, and I was doing all right with the difficulty level, but I was finding it so hard to get into it, and eventually I just went, you know what, I just want to play this game for a bit. So I dropped the difficulty right down to story level, and I started enjoying it a lot more.
How far?
Not very. I've gone to Jeddah and come back. That's
have you just gotten there?
Yeah. Yeah, I've gone to Jeddah the first time, and now I'm back on. I'm searching for something. I can't remember what it was, but yeah.
Yeah, I think I know where you are.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So I'm very early on in the game, and then Tears of the Kingdom came out, and that's it. That's been my gaming for the last 5 days. I had launch day off, which I got all my stuff. I got my Tears of the Kingdom OLED Switch. I've got the collector's edition. I bought everything pretty much and broke my credit card while doing it. But it's so good, and you can see on our YouTube channel I've got an unboxing of all the stuff that I bought up there. It's so cool. But the game, oh my god, yeah, Charlie Golf. Who would have thought? I like Zelda. I like Zelda games, and I've been waiting so long for this. And I must admit, I was thinking when I saw like the Ultra Hand ability, which is the ability that you use to build stuff, I thought, I'm not sure how I'm gonna like this in the game, but I tell you, it's pretty cool. Like when you build stuff. It looks
like that mechanic's kind of addictive to use almost. Would you say?
I think it is. And it's just. It's interesting to say, all right, I need to get up here. How can I do this? And you just build the longest bridge in the world and move it across, or the wackiest thing. So Charlie, off the wackiest thing I built was, I think I strapped like 3 rockets to a glider and just went nuts like that. And that doesn't sound very wacky considering some of the other stuff that's around, but it was wacky for me at the time. And like, every time I start building stuff, I feel like I should say, "Here, hold my beer while I build it," and it's just it's crazy. In fact, you know what? Let's switch over to because this Tears of the Kingdom obviously is going to be our bloody good game of the week. So let's start having a bit of a chat about this. And some of the stuff that people are building is ridiculous. So
Charlie Golf said, "How do they balance that?" I don't think do.
I don't know. Like we're watching this video now. Somebody has basically built a mech, and they're getting up on it, driving. It's got rockets. It's got wind turbines. It's got wheels. It's got lasers on it. It's like a shark with freaking laser beams on its head, sort of thing. And they're just you'll see if you're watching on twitch.tv/GameOnOz, they're getting their enemies, and all these lasers just go off. And I'm looking at it going, this is amazing. I want to build this, because like at the moment, I will admit I've been dying a lot in this game. It's like a lot, and I'm too scared to go near like the big world bosses that you see, like the High Noxes from from Breath of the Wild, they're back, and there's like big Gleeok dragon monsters as well. I've been too scared to go near them. I want to build something like this and just go there and just go, ha, come at me, bitch. Because like I would just dominate with something like that. Look at it. The mech stuff. It looks amazing.
So I was gonna say I have massive FOMO at the moment. What is this?
Oh, it's someone's comparing it to mech, so I think that's like from Robotech and the Macross
this
saga.
Doesn't look like it.
Yeah.
No, I have a lot of FOMO because I feel like everyone on my feed in the last week has been playing Tears of the Kingdom, and I have not properly played Breath of the Wild. And just last week, I had the opportunity to play it for about an hour, a guided experience through the first hour of not Tears of the Kingdom, Breath of the Wild, the first one. And you know what? Like at the time when I first picked it up, I think it was not long after it first came out. An open world game like this is quite intimidating. And now it's been, oh God, how many years? 6 years since Breath of the Wild?
Yeah, about that. Yeah.
Now that I've picked it up again after so long, and I've grown to play quite a few open world games in that time, I'm probably keen to just give it another go again. And I feel like I've missed out. Like I was playing it and I only got like the magnesis ability, and I was like, oh, I could definitely see myself sinking quite a bit of time into this because it looks so enjoyable. And the amount of freedom you have in a world like Breath of the Wild is just
it's incredible, and Tears of the Kingdom takes that to the next level. So in Tears of the Kingdom, you've not only got the land of Hyrule, which while the map is similar, they've changed quite significant portions of it, and like the quest line kind of guides you to a different area than where you started at in Breath of the Wild, which is quite cool. But it still does it in a way that gives you options. So Breath of the Wild, you finish the Great Plateau and it says go to each of these divine beasts, but it also guides you to Kakariko Village first, to go and just do the stuff there. And it just so happens that after you've gone to Kakariko Village, the closest divine beast to that is Varuta, which gets you a really good healing ability. And similar sort of thing happens in Tears of the Kingdom. So you finish the Great Sky Island is what it's called, and where you get all the abilities again. So it's basically the Great Plateau in the sky. And you get all those abilities, and then it goes, okay, cool. Well, there's trouble in the land of Hyrule, and here's the 4 points you need to go and explore. But by the way, it might be worth checking out this one first and going that way. So it's really, it's still very Breath of the Wild in some of the stuff that it does. Although I will admit, I didn't see because one of the things I loved about Breath of the Wild was that as soon as you get off the Great Plateau, bang, defeat Ganon. That objective is there, and you can go and do that now. It's not immediately obvious that you can do that in this game, although I did see the first speed runs come out, and it's like an hour and a half. So like that's
stupid.
Yeah, it's like I must have played
like 30. In a good way. I say that affectionately, by the way. Yeah. I think that's ridiculous in an amazing way.
I must be like 30 between 30 and 40 hours into the game, and I've finished 4 temples, and I'm kind of getting the feeling like it's about time to go kick Ganondorf's ass, but I'm not ready to do that yet, and I'm exploring. So
I have a question.
Yes.
And it's something that Doormat brought up a bit earlier, and I need to know why, and if this is a Tears of the Kingdom thing or just a general Zelda thing. Why are people hurting the Koroks?
Because they're annoying as shit.
No, but they're cute though. What do you mean they're annoying?
Because there's 900 pieces of poop that you have to collect to finish it, and then when you collect them all, you get an even bigger piece of poop. That's why people don't like the Koroks.
Like, I feel like I've also seen, as well as some very interesting builds and stuff, everyone's just absolutely tormenting them, and I feel so bad. I obviously don't know the context to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, poor little guys. Is this just a Tears of the Kingdom thing, or was this also happening in Breath of the Wild?
I don't remember it happening in Breath of the Wild, but now you've given people mechanics to do that, and I think they just sick of, and especially like, actually no, I'm going to say it is definitely a Tears of the Kingdom thing, because in Breath of the Wild you found something odd and the Korok appeared, but you couldn't do anything with it. But in Tears of the Kingdom, you can still do that, but there's also other Koroks around that are just got this big backpack on and want you to take him to his mate. So you have to carry him across to where his mate is.
That sounds cute. What's wrong with that?
Well, because it gives people an opportunity to do silly things to the Koroks, and
is this okay? Is this in the same kind of realm of like Mario 64, where you throw the penguins off the edge?
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Except now you can make mechs.
That I can understand now. Like,
yeah. But yeah, there is definitely a lot of them. Hello, Blooper Gaming. Thanks for dropping in. Good to see you, mate. Yeah, like there was 900 odd Korok seeds in Breath of the Wild, and I think there's about 900 Korok seeds in Tears of the Kingdom as well. They've also increased the number of shrines, which I'm actually very happy with, because my OCD kicked in Breath of the Wild. There's 120 shrines in Breath of the Wild. You get spirit orbs from them. You need 4 to swap out for stamina or for hearts. But there's not enough shrines to max out your hearts and your stamina, which my OCD did not
so
like.
In this one,
well,
they've given you enough?
I don't know, but I know there's more shrines. I've already maxed out the stamina. 3 stamina wheels is the maximum you can get. So I will have a look at what goes on with the Korok, not Korok, sorry, the heart situation. And so, but there's like 150 odd shrines now. But there is also shrines in the Sky Islands as well, which makes it a bit more spread out. So that the extra 30 odd shrines are in the Sky Islands, right, and not on the ground. So which is nice. So there's a fair bit. There's more story in this as well, I will say. And I'm very happy about that. It feels like the game is more story driven than what Breath of the Wild was. Especially around the glyphs. So there's these big ass glyphs that are carved into hillsides and whatnot, and they're this game's version of the memories from Breath of the Wild. So it tells a bit of a backstory. They're a lot easier to find than the memories, but that's because the story in this is more important. So it's very. I won't say too much about the story because I don't want to give out any spoilers, but. It's a lot better than it was in Breath of the Wild, and I'm very much enjoying that. In terms of the abilities, Ultra Hand is amazing, and the amount of times that I've forgotten that I have the Ascend ability. So the Ascend ability is the one where you can basically jump through the roof, and it's just amazing, and just to be able to do that. But like I said, I keep forgetting that I've got it. Also a handy ability, you don't get it at the start, you got to go looking for it a little bit. There's one called auto build, so you can get schematics in the game and use auto build, which will automatically build something for you, and it'll also remember stuff that you've built, which is really
cool.
So you don't have to sit there with your Ultra Hand ability and build everything from scratch all the time. You can use those templates to build stuff. Now, where was I? What else was I going? So it's still at its core Breath of the Wild, because it's built on the same engine. Like there's still electricity puzzles in there as well that will that you can use. There's lots of different things like the flurry rushes. You can still do that. There's shield surfing you can still do. So all that stuff from the Breath of the Wild is back in Tears of the Kingdom. But it's the abilities that really set it apart, and the fuse ability especially. So Breath of the Wild and a lot of other Zelda titles, you get special arrows like the ice arrows and the fire arrows. You don't get them in Breath of the Wild, but you are able to fuse certain things with your arrows or with your weapons to give them those flame multipliers. And if you're watching live on Twitch at the moment or on YouTube, we're showing the video at the moment, and he's picked up some fire fruit, and if you fuse that with your arrows, you get fire arrows, just stuff like that, like the fusing of stuff makes things really a lot more interesting. Mm-hmm. It is just, it's hard to vocalize what makes it so interesting, but if you enjoyed Breath of the Wild, you're going to love Tears of the Kingdom again as well, because it's just it's more of the same, really, and it's just really cool.
Would you recommend people play Breath of the Wild before Tears of the Kingdom, or do you think this is something that people can get straight into now that you've played a little bit of it?
Look, story-wise, I don't think you need to have played Breath of the Wild, because while there are references to the Calamity, there's not super amounts of stuff you need to know. There's some reoccurring characters and whatnot, but it's not necessary, I would say. So you could jump into it. I will say though, because like I had this hot take that this game was going to be a sequel to Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity and not Breath of the Wild. And while I haven't seen anything to definitively disprove that, there are little bits and pieces that I think mean that this is actually a sequel to Breath of the Wild, not Age of Calamity, which I'm a little bit disappointed about, because I like that hot take. I thought that was like I had no basis for it, but just something in me just twigged that it was going to be a sequel to Age of Calamity. But there's stuff like the Yiga are mad at you, which they weren't in Age of Calamity. Mifa's still dead, who's one of the champions from Breath of the Wild, and if the events of Age of Calamity you still know she's dead. Well, I guess it's a spoiler for Age of Calamity, but it's
is it not one for Breath of the Wild?
Well, yeah. Well, she's all the champions are dead in Breath of the Wild anyway. Like, that's not so much.
That will probably make sense to me later if I keep playing a little bit more than an hour.
But it's just such a good game. I'm just having so much fun with it, and I can get lost in it for hours. And I was on the Oceanic Gaming Radio podcast on Monday night with Cap and Grizz talking about this as well. And I said to them, I go to bed thinking about what I'm going to do next in the game, and the first thing I'm thinking about is Tears of the Kingdom when I wake up. And
living and breathing Tears of the Kingdom.
I literally am, and I'm sitting here doing this podcast, and I'm going, can we finish this now? Because I'd like to play the game again. But that's how much it's got me. And yeah, there's some things that I don't quite like you get something akin to the champion abilities, and I don't think they're quite as useful as what the champion abilities in Breath of the Wild were. And I also think that the starting abilities that you get are more supplemental than the ones in Breath of the Wild, where you got the bombs. So if all your weapons kind of broke, then you still had the bombs that you could do damage to things with. Whereas none of the abilities in Tears of the Kingdom do damage. But it doesn't matter to me. Those are things that I prefer from Breath of the Wild, but as a game itself, it's still it's so good. It's just like I could gush about this for forever, but and that's why it's my bloody good game of the week. Like I cannot say enough good about it. I think I said I spoke to somebody after I was playing it on Friday, and they were asking me, is it a 10 out of 10 game? And I went, look, I'm really liking it. I haven't played enough of it yet to say if it's a 10 out of 10 game, but it's definitely a very good game. But I will say now it's a 10 out of 10 game.
Yeah.
It's that good. But yes, thank you to Aussie Broadband for a bloody good game of the week. I'm going to finish off talking about Tears of the Kingdom then, because I will talk for another hour if I was left to my own devices. So yes, there is a review for Goa. Arlentric is reviewing it, but we got a copy on launch day, so it's still going to be a little way away, but it will be coming as soon as Arlentric can write it. Because there's a lot in a game like this. There's a lot in there, and I
it's not like you could just speedrun the game like for the first time off the bat. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, unless you know exactly what you're doing, then you're like, okay, I've got a plan. But like, man, I don't envy him just
no,
trying
I
get
don't
this
either.
out as soon as possible. Well, I know you can speedrun it, but no one playing for the first time's like got to know exactly what they're doing.
But yeah, it's super good fun, and highly recommend picking it up. If you've got a Switch, this is a must buy. It's definitely a must buy. But yeah, thank you Aussie Broadband for the bloody good game of the week.
Thanks Aussie Broadband.
So I think that's about it for the show for tonight, for our working from home show. Apologies again for my computer issues. It does seem to have settled. There's only like a handful of missed frames and skipped frames, so the computer finally caught up. It's been great. We
got there in the end.
We did. We got there in the end. It's been great chatting to you all. Thank you everybody for jumping in. Thank you Kai for the resub, and thank you to all our Patreons as well. Amazing. As we said again, if you're watching on twitch.tv/GameOnOz, ! support, and you can join our Patreon and get your avatar on the TV in the studio and go into the monthly prize draws. And if you're level 3, you get that exclusive merch drop as well. So lots of really cool stuff for our Patreons, and we're very appreciative that you choose to give us money. And same to our Twitch subs. Thank you so much for choosing to spend your hard-earned money on us. But that's all for the show tonight. Any parting thoughts there, Stormy?
No, I'm just not going to think about Overwatch for a while, to be honest. Otherwise, I'll just get upset again. But other than that, I don't know. I want more of these good video game adaptations to keep coming. That's it.
Yeah, amazing. And I think some places have worked out how to do them. So I think we will get them. But
I think we're quickly learning what works and what doesn't. So I'm hoping this will enter a new era of good video games, movies.
Cool. But that's all for this week. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching, and we will catch you next time.